ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. We live in extraordinary times. I remember years ago, finally I was able to buy an encyclopedia, and that was an enormous treasure for me because I could look up anything that I wanted to know in the encyclopedia. But who buys an encyclopedia today? What for? You ask Google, and Google will answer you. If you want to look up anything, most books are really accessible, especially old books, especially those that are classics, really, are accessible on the internet. You don't have to have all that. We live in an age where there's so much available to us that we can do things that were unimaginable years ago. On the other hand, we have also become accustomed to immediate satisfaction of our desires. For instance, you take a picture with a camera, you need film, the film has to be put into, I don't know what do you call that, and then eventually you have to send it someplace, they print it for you. Not so today. Today, all our phones are really cameras as well, and probably better cameras than the cameras of 30, 40 years ago. And many of us have a printer at home. And that printer prints a photograph also, if you want it printed. Otherwise, you have it in the cloud, you have it in your computer. It's amazing, the age in which we live. But we have also learned that we want a response, an immediate response to our necessities. And because of the internet, because of the communications, we know how everybody else lives. We see that our neighbor is better off than we are, and we'd like to be the same. Are we happier today than 50 years ago? I don't know if there is a happy meter to measure that, how we're doing. But on the other hand, last year in the United States and in many places in the world, protests in the street all over. People are not satisfied with what they have because there are so many needs today and you never really satisfy them. So people are really not as happy as they should be. And I feel what a shame. We live in such an extraordinary time where so many things are available to us. We should really be happier than our ancestors. You know, the automobile is a given. Many people have automobiles nowadays, at least in the developed world. I know people that go to work for housework in somebody else's place. They come in their own car. But many years ago, there were no automobiles for everybody. Not only that, if you go back 100 years ago, 150 years ago, you know, there were carriages and horses. Do you know what the streets smelled like in those days? Can you imagine? You know, horses traveling there all day long, cobblestone and God knows what. You know, things were very different. So with all the advances, shouldn't we be a little happier? I really don't know what the answer is. But I've been thinking, you know, many of us are so preoccupied with filling our material things, our needs, our wants, that we forget to take a few steps back and say to yourself, what is the purpose of your life? Do you have a purpose in living, in addition to eating and to doing everything else that you do? Shouldn't there be a destiny, a compass that shows where you should go? Well, I want to tell you about 3 things I think that we should think about. Number 1, you should think about improving yourself. Think about yourself. Read, learn, become a better person. Try to grow emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. Work on yourself. Forget about, you know, the cameras and the telephones and all the things, the material things that you need. Start thinking about yourself. Are you a better person this year than you were last year? Number 2, I think you should think about your family, those around you. Do you contribute to the welfare? I mean the emotional welfare of the people about you. Do you speak to your children? Do you have a relationship with them? Do you speak to your wife? Or is it all the time you're thinking about where are we going to eat? What are we going to buy? What are we going to use? Where are we going to travel? I mean about other things. What is important to them? Try to penetrate their inner self. Try to identify yourself with what their real ambitions in life are. Number 3, think about the society in which you live. Is it better off because you are there or not? Do you contribute something to the welfare of your society? Thereby you will make a better world also. What I'm trying to say is, it isn't enough to get up in the morning and eat and breathe and work and so on. You must have some goals in life. And I think what I delineated for you may be a starting point. Maybe you have other ideas, but I'm saying work on yourself. Be a better father. Be a better brother. Be a good husband. Number 3, contribute to society. You will see that if you set some goals that have to do with intellectual, emotional, and spiritual growth, you're going to forget about many of the material things about which you protest in the streets. What are people protesting? Because my wages are too low, I'm discriminated against. Many of the things that you are protesting won't come into your mind if you think about what is your mission in life. And I think that each and every one of us should try to find out what is his purpose to be alive in this world.